Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Just checking all my settings, making sure we're good. All right, let's see. I think we're live. Hang on one second. Let me find us. And we are. There we are. Okay. Well, hi, everybody. It is so nice to meet you. We are continuing with our tour of the Profitable Private Practice Playbook. Okay, so if you are here live, I want you to type live in the chat. If you're watching the replay, say hashtag replay. Today, we're going to look at something that is so powerful, which is how to hire and retain top talent in your private practice in 2024. So after the pandemic, we bumped into the great resignation. And that is where, for the first time, for so many people, it became so hard to retain staff. It became so hard, right? But it's been a few years, and we have learned a number of like tactics and strategies to kind of make sure that we always have a full complement of team, and not just anybody, but top talent. Okay, so again, if you're watching live, say live. Let me know who your next critical hire is. Who do you need to bring in next into your practice? It could be a medical assistant, it could be a front desk person, it could be an office manager, practice administrator, another physician, a biller, whatever. Let me know in the chat who you are trying to hire, okay? All right, so if we haven't met before, my name is Dr. Una. I am a pediatrician by training. I have had my own private practice for the last 14 years. And in this stage of my career, EntreMD is the company I spend most of my time with. And what I do there is I help doctors build profitable businesses so they have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. Okay, I do that through a number of ways. We have a podcast, we have multiple best-selling books, we have the EntreMD Business School. But tomorrow is launch day. Tomorrow is the release date for this beautiful book that is going to absolutely create a revolution in the private practice world. It's called the Profitable Private Practice Playbook: 7 ways private practices leave money on the table every single day and how to fix it. Okay, this right here is going to lead to, for some practices, hundreds of thousands of dollars, like her doctor, right? This such a game changer. Okay, now you can't get it just yet. You'll get it tomorrow. Tomorrow is the release date, but you can get the first chapter for free, so you can get a head start. So go to entremd.com/private practice book. And if you're watching, you can put that link for me in the comments. I'd appreciate it. entremd.com/private practice book. You can get the free chapter. You can get our private practice profitability assessment. So you can go take take this assessment, see what your absolute best next steps are as far as working on the profitability of your practice, right? So this is going to be a game changer for you. All right. Okay. So we're going to look at right here, we're going to look at what I do, right? What I do so that I can find, attract top talent and retain top talent. And I'm going to give you 7 steps. Don't worry, I will give it to you in a concise manner. Okay, I'm not going to hold you here forever, but I'm going to give you, seven steps here. And these 7 steps, you can't you can't skip out on any of them. Okay, any of them you skip out on, it's going to come back to bite you. Okay, now what makes people come to a company, love to work in that company, stay in the company, grow in the company, make it their home, if you will, their work home? It's really that they're winning. They're getting what they want out of it, right? And then on your side, you're winning and you get what you want out of it. So the real thing you want to do as a private practice owner is you want to create a win-win situation. Okay, so you can type that in there. My job is to create a win-win situation where, based on this person's role, I'm winning. Based on this person's role, they're winning. Actually, in the reverse order, right? They're winning, you're winning. And when you do that, it's just it makes your practice a wonderful place to work in. People have extreme job satisfaction. They give their best. They bring on expertise and experience and all these things that you don't have. So your business is so much better with them than without them. Okay. So the steps I'm going to talk about are going to show you how to create that win-win situation. So you can have an A team that you love, they love you, absolutely unbelievable. Okay. All right. So let's look at it. So the first thing is defining the job description. And you might say, Dr. Una, oh my goodness, like, of course, if we're going to hire, we need a job description, but please hear me out. You have to decide what it is you want. You have to look in your practice and say, I am looking for someone who can take care of these outcomes, take care of these tasks. I'm looking for someone who has these kind of attitudes, these kind of skills, all of these things. You're going to have to sit to do the work to decide what that is. So when I started hiring, and I was like, oh, I need a job description. What I would do is I would just go to the internet, Google what is a job description of a medical assistant, and I'll take that same thing, slap my practice on it and put it out there. The problem is that medical assistant role was built for somebody who knows what they wanted, right? They know what they wanted. It's not like they may want something completely different from me, right? And so I had to start learning how to honor what it is that I want, because I'll be frustrated, except I get what I want, right? Honor what it is that I want, articulate what it is that I want, right? And go get it. Because simple as that. And so taking the time. So let's say, for instance, you're looking for a medical assistant. Let's just use that. Okay, well, maybe you've worked with 5 medical assistants. You know what you liked about certain ones and what you didn't like about certain ones. You know what attitudes you like, what attitudes you didn't like. You know where they would miss things and all. Like, you knew what that was. And so if you're someone, like me, I'm like, pick any vice you want, but tardiness, don't pick that one. Okay, tardiness drives me nuts. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, of all the vices, this one, like, you'll have complete control. You don't have to do this. And so when I'm doing my job description, this job is a good fit for someone who can show up to work on time, who can work all the while that they're at work, who is detail oriented, because I'm pediatrics, right? So they would weigh a kid and the kid is 20 pounds, 5 ounces, and they put 20.5. I'm like, it's not the same. 5 ounces is not half of a pound. Stop it. Right? And so someone who pays attention to detail. Maybe people don't come knowing everything. Someone who is willing to learn the skills required to excel on the job. Like, you have to define what it is you want. For doctors, let's say in your practice, you want them seeing 25 patients a day. You have to define that. This is how many patients I want you to see. Maybe you've worked with people who did nothing to build their patient panel. And you're like, I'm looking for somebody who can build their own panel. I'll show you how. The team is right behind you, but you have to do something. Those things you want, write them all down. What competencies do you want them to have? What attitudes do you want them to have? Are you looking for somebody who just is gonna, come in and fill spots? Are you looking for someone who's looking for a work home? You want to define all of those things. If you don't define them, you cannot have them. You can't. You got to define what it is you want. Okay. So that's the first part of it. Like, sit and think, what is it do I want? What is it that I want? And you can think back to hires you loved, hires you didn't like, people you fired, people that were bad hires. Like, look at all those things and then articulate, I want this, I don't want that. Okay. Okay. So you can document that. That's the starting point of a great hire. And this is the point people always want to miss. People tell me all the time, can you send me the template for your thing? I'm like, no, I can show you how to do it. But what I'm looking for my particular role is not what you're looking for. And you have to know what you want. Okay, so that's one. That's one, okay? Number 2 is your ideal job ad, okay? Your ideal job ad. So the second thing you want to do is you want to have an ideal job ad. Now, the thing about this, you're like, yeah, you just told us about the job description. So why are we talking about this? This is the thing. As an owner, when you start your practice, one of the things you do is you promote your practice, you promote your services so you can get patients. Okay. This is something you market for patients, you sell for patients. Okay. When you start building your team, You will market for team members and you will sell them on working with you. Okay. So yes, your ideal job ad is going to have your job description, but it's also going to include why you. So people do generic things like, oh, we're 45 miles from a major city and blah, 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 blah. But again, think about what your ideal person would want. Okay. So would they want mentorship so they're empowered to do a good job? Do they want a flexible work schedule that you give anyway? So for instance, my private practice, let me give you an example. My private practice, we open our doors at 9:30, right? So first patient appointment is at 9:30. Last patient appointment is probably 4:30, so you can be done by 5, and so that you have from 5 to 5:30 to complete your notes and all of those things. Everyone who comes, I train them on how to complete their notes while they're at work, so that they don't have to take any notes home. I'm like, I want you to go home and forget about my practice and focus on your family so you can come back energized the next day. Okay. They don't do overnight call. They don't do mommy calls. They're all of these things. But let me tell you how the human mind works. If you don't articulate that, nobody will see it as a benefit. Nobody. It is up to you to articulate, this is why us. So when I'm hiring for a pediatrician, like I would say, we're looking for this kind of position. And I'll say, why us? I'm like, number one, we start at 9:30, so you can still take your kids to school and be on time at work. You don't have to do mommy calls overnight. I would say like you will be trained on how to complete all your work while you're at work. You have a flexible schedule, like a 4-day work week or whatever. You don't work weekends. You don't do hospital call. You don't do any of that. So let me know in the chat if you're like, man, that's nice, right? Because you listen to that and like, oh, nice. Like the flexibility is built in. Like I'm setting myself up so I don't necessarily need to burn out. I'm not covering hospital, covering this, doing all of that stuff. But if you don't intend to sell people on the position, the A players are not seeing it and saying, man, this is a place where I can thrive, where I can do really great work. And this is a place I want to call a work home. You got to sell them. So why? And so my job ad will include why us. My job ad will include the training. So, people will train, it's like onboarding. So generic, so generic, right? Because I would say, and we're going to give you these trainings in the Ivy League Pediatrics Coaching Academy. Number one, how to fill up your panel in 90 days, how to complete all your notes, at the end of the day, so you don't have to chart at home, how to do this, which are things people want to know. like someone who wants to do really well wants to know how to build a panel. Who doesn't want to know how to not chart at home, right? But we position that as benefits. And then it also includes meet your CEO and mentor, right? And there's my bio talking about, I've run this practice for 14 years. We've been stable. We thrived through a pandemic. I'm the founder of EntreMD. I do this, I do that. Just for them to get a feel for the kind of people they get to work with. You got to sell them on why you. You have to. Okay. So let me know in the chat if you're tracking, because I know that I'm throwing a lot at you, but I'm doing that because I know you can handle it. Okay. So let me know if you're tracking so far. Just type tracking in the chat. Tracking. Definitely tracking. Hey, Jessica. She's like, definitely tracking. Okay. All right. So that's the second thing. Okay. We're making good progress. Those two, well, they're the biggest two. Like the other things don't work as well without them, but the rest are big too. I was about to say they're the biggest ones, but I don't know. Okay, number 3 is cast a wide net. Okay, the same way with patients, right? Like you start a new practice, or you have a lull. You have a time where you've plateaued. You're not getting more patients, or people are leaving and you're not replacing them. Like I need to go talk to referral sources. I need to post on social media. Maybe I'm going to run some ads. Maybe I need to invite my patients to invite other patients. We talked about how to get your patients to refer more patients to you. You do all of those things to get more patients. It's the same thing with your team. When it's time for you to hire, you want to cast a wide net, right? Because it's a numbers game. You want to be in front of as many people as possible, letting them know you're hiring. One, because the person you're looking for, your person, like the ideal person you're looking for may see it, or the person who knows the person who's an ideal person may see it. Okay. So wide nets. So let's use a doctor, we started with this doctor example. Say I'm looking for a new pediatrician for my practice, which I happen to be actually. So if you know Rockstar, let me know. But, I'm looking for a new pediatrician for my practice. Then I have friends who are pediatricians. I tell all of them that I'm looking. There are platforms where you can post that you're hiring, like Indeed and stuff like that. I would post there. There are groups specifically for doctors, job opportunities and stuff like that. I would go post there. There are jobs, there are groups I'm a part of that are full of physicians. I would tell them I'm looking for a rock star. This is what I'm looking for. If you know them, connects me to them. And I would do this like massive, like putting it out there massively so that people know I'm looking. Okay, because let me tell you, I can promise you, for everybody who's looking for a position, any position, front desk, biller, back office, front desk manager, like doctor, nurse practitioner, whatever it is that you're looking for, there is somebody right now who is looking for a job just like the one you offer. And, people will tell me, oh, I'm only looking for someone who worked 2 days a week. It's going to be impossible to find. I'm like, no, it's not. There is somebody whose ideal position is 2 days a week. They're just looking for, they're like, I don't want to work 5 days a week. I don't want to do all of that. I just want to work 2 days a week. There is somebody right now looking for exactly what you offer. But the thing is this, it is your job to make the bridge between you and them. How do you do that? Cast a wide net. A wide net. Tell people everywhere that you're looking. Tell them often. Tell them until you find who you're looking for. Okay. Now, many people won't do this. They'll say, oh, I did one post and, there's nobody. First of all, let's say you're looking for a physician. There's never been an easier time to find a physician. There's never been a time where doctors aren't in transition like they are now. They're either burnt out and they want to leave. They're the hospital system being totally devalued by administration and they want to leave. They were replaced by somebody else, nurse practitioner that they trained, and they're ready and they're available for a position. Or they just, life happened and they just decide, I don't want to work. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do it in a different way. There has never been a time in history that I'm aware of. I'm only 45, but that I'm aware of, that doctors have been as available as they are today. There's never been a time. So this is the best time. Okay. So cast a wide net. Number 4. Okay. Number 4 is the interview. So this is the way I used to interview before. Dr. Una meets person. Person is human with a heartbeat and a smile. Dr. Una likes person. Dr. Una hires person. Okay. There's no skill to it. There's no strategy to it. Just like the person, you just have a feeling, you just hire the person. It's a warm body. They can do the job. Okay. This was many, many, many years ago. Dr. Una does not do this anymore. Okay. So when it comes to hiring, and I've done a lot of podcast episodes on this, so you might want to check it out later if you want to do a deeper dive. You want to actually, it is like an investigation to see if this person matches the job description that I have. So it's not random. It's not how I feel. It's not any of those things. Okay. So I will give you, like, you already have the job description. So you're measuring the person against that. Like, does this person meet with that? Can this person produce the outcomes? Is there historical evidence of this and all of that? You're going to ask questions. You're going to ask questions like, if this turned out like, I'm interviewing you now, let's say a year later, you're telling somebody, at a Christmas party that working with me is the best thing that ever happened to you. What would have to happen for you to say that? And listen to what they say. What are you doing? All the questions you're asking is just to listen. Does this person meet my job description? Are they the person that I'm looking for? Okay. So we need to have a strategy to it. We can't go over the entire strategy, but I want to tell you one thing to not miss. Is the 3x3x3 method. And what that is 3 interviews, 3 different people, 3 different places. Okay. What are you trying to do? You're trying to flush out who the person really is. You're trying to maintain the objectivity, because even if you're like so smitten and you're like, I really like this person, chances are all 3 of you are not going to do that. Somebody's going to say yes, but these are 7 red flags that we need to look at, right? Okay. So 3 interviews, not 1, not 2, 3, at least 3 interviews by 3 different people in 3 different places. And it could be, one is in person, one is virtual. So for instance, in my practice, usually I am only getting the third interview. So if the person flunks out at 1 or 2, it doesn't even make it to me. And that's if we're hiring a physician or anything like that, or even a medical assistant or any leadership type role. And so the first interview would usually be my practice administrator. Second interview would be one of the docs in the practice. Third interview would be with me. So that's 3 people. The initial interview with my practice administrator will most likely be, it could be Zoom, it could be in person, but a lot of times it's Zoom. The second interview by the doctor is usually happening in practice. The third interview is usually happening somewhere random because I'm not in the practice, right? So wherever I'm going to be, they're going to come there to meet me. So do you see how that works? Right? So I want you to think in those ways. 3 interviews, 3 different people, 3 different places. And that way you guys can come together and you're like, okay, this is the kind of person we're looking for. This person meets here, doesn't meet it. Doing this alone will make such a difference, especially if you've been used to hiring in an undisciplined way, which is the way I used to hire. Just, yeah, your person. I think they might could do it. Let's go. And if you've done that before, let me know in the chat. Okay. All right. Number 5. Number 5 is the actual hiring process, right? Like, making the offer, doing all of those kind of things. You say, why is this a different step? Because people have done great interviews and they never pulled the trigger. They never did that. They just never hired. Okay. So you see the person, you meet the person, they meet the standards, you've talked with your team, 3 of you have decided this is a great person and all of that stuff. Then you actually hire the person. And don't take 2 years, like hire the person. A lot of times there is fear around, well, my practice is not perfect. If they come in, they'll see that it's a mess, or, oh my goodness, how am I going to meet the payroll for this person, which would be a different conversation because before you hire the person, you should know how they will pay for themselves. And things like that, but hire the person, hire the person, hire the person. Okay. Number 6 is so critical, and that is your onboarding. Okay. So I used to do this as well. Like, how do I know all these things? I've made all the mistakes. Well, most of them, maybe 90%, 92.56%. Okay. Onboarding. So my thing used to be, I have hired you for this role. I think you're great. So read my mind and get it done. Okay. You should know these things. It does not matter if you get somebody who has been an excellent doctor, practice administrator, anything like that, executive assistant from another company. If you want them to thrive in your company, you have to take the time to onboard them. It is time upfront, but it's the time upfront that saves, first of all, empowers somebody in your organization to function at the highest level. It gives them a sense of, I'm not sure what word to use for that, but it lets them know your role is important to the company, you are important to the company, and we are behind you, and we want to see, we are committed to seeing you thrive. We are committed to that, right? And it takes care of, like, even though it's intense, it takes time, it saves you hours and hours and hours and hours of time. So here's Jessica. Jessica's my executive assistant. Say onboarding was a game changer for me. And I actually, Jessica, I loved the onboarding process that we did because that was amazing. We did 30 days of onboarding. But after that, oh my goodness, like, she's amazing. She's completely awesome. And then add this on that is just like game changer. Okay. So this is the deal. Take the time to onboard them. I'll tell you the way I think about it, and you can create your own onboarding system. This is something that I show my clients to do. Think about, these are the outcomes I want them to be responsible for. So let's say it's a practice administrator. You want them to be responsible for making sure your schedule, you have 25 patients a day. You want them to be responsible for making sure your turnaround times are an hour or less. You want them to be responsible for certain metrics with the biller. You want them to be responsible, like, you have those things. Okay. So you have your outcomes. It will be 3, 5, or 7, somewhere around there. So 3 to 7 outcomes. And then, so you define that. Then the second thing you define is, what are the tasks that will produce these outcomes? So say for the schedule, you can hit the recaller list so you can get new patients. You can build relationships with, 3 to 6 referral sources, so that they'll constantly send us patients. You can make sure everybody who comes for an appointment leaves with their next appointment. These are now the activities that produce the outcome, right? So then you take all those activities and you train them on the activities and you show them how it connects to the outcome, right? What are you doing? You're empowering them to win. You're empowering them to win. So it may be a week, it may be 2 weeks, it may be 30 days. But the thing is, the more important the role, the more onboarding you want, right? Okay. So onboarding, gotta onboard them. Don't think they'll read your mind. It doesn't matter how well they did wherever they're coming from. You gotta onboard them. Okay. Okay. Then number 7 is ongoing training. So the fact that you've onboarded them does not mean you can say, may the force be with you, and then you disappear, right? People are going to need ongoing training. They're going to need, meetings with you to say, these are the outcomes that you're responsible for. This is where we are. Where can we make adjustments? Where are you? Do you think you're getting stuck? And all of those things, they need ongoing training. They need ongoing training. I used to think, why in the world will I have to hire somebody and train them? They should already know these things. Okay. It does not work like that. I have phenomenal teams in every business that I have, but I will tell you, onboarding is required, like proper hiring is required. Actually, all the steps are required. Okay. But let's start from proper hiring is required. Onboarding is required. Continuous training is. But the thing is, this work, because it is work, is the gift that keeps giving and giving and giving and giving, and it will give for as long as you and your team member are in this win-win situation. It will continue to give. Okay. So it's work you want to do. So I have phenomenal teams, even in the middle of the Great Recession, not recession, resignation. Okay. Why? Because I've defined what I want. I put out that ideal ad and sold people on working with me. Cast a wide net, interview 3 by 3 by 3. Jessica is here. She'll tell you. I don't know how many interviews you did, if you did 2 or 3. May have been 3. Because you would be the third interview. Did the onboarding, did the ongoing training. It is a game changer. Game changer. You want to have a company, and this is the thing, the companies with the best teams are the companies that win. They're the companies that win. I'm able to do so much more. People are like, how do you do all these things? Because I have a great team. I have great teams. That's why, right? Okay. So what do I want you to do? I want you to take this stuff and go sit with it and pick a change or 2 to make. Okay. So maybe you only used to do 1 interview. Now is the time to do more than 1 interview, right? Jessica said 2. Yeah, because in the company, it's me and Makita. So you interviewed with everybody in the company. But now you're number 3. So if someone else is coming, you interview them. Okay. All right. So take something, go make a change. Okay. But I have an announcement for you. You already know about it, but I'm going to be announcing it until August is Private Practice Physician Month. Okay. Because we are celebrating private practice owners. Okay. Tomorrow, August 13th, is National Private Practice Physicians Day. There's a whole day. We created a whole day. 5 with the National Day. It is a recognized day. You can Google it. National Private Practice Physicians Day, because we want to honor you. We want to celebrate you. And we're going to talk about how we do that tomorrow. We want to celebrate you. Okay. We understand, like, there's so much that will go wrong if the people in private practice quit because of how hard it is. Right. But we are committed to helping you, giving you strategies, supporting you so you can win in ways you've never won before. Okay. So tomorrow is Private Practice Physicians Day. Tomorrow is also the release of the Profitable Private Practice Playbook. Okay, this is a book. You can take this, you get copies for your practice administrator, get copies for your front desk manager, back office manager, MA manager, biller, all the people, and you implement this in your practice. This turns into literal dollars. This right here will be the best $15 you've spent in your private practice. The best, because you're going to take this and you're going to make changes. These 7 ways private practice owners leave money on the table, you're going to find out what they are. You're going to fix it in your practice. You're going to fix it. And it's going to be amazing. Okay. So the book comes out tomorrow. You can get the first chapter. You can get the assessment. So you can customize this book, right? Because it will show you where you have the greatest opportunity. EntreMD.com/private practice book. That's where you would go to get it. Okay. All right. So I'm telling you, we are coming to a time when we will be able to build practices that are thriving. And I don't mean just you as an individual, but when you think about the community of private practice physicians, we're going to thrive as a community. Okay. So we have a whole revolution coming. The revolution is here. Okay. And I want to challenge you to be a part of it. Okay. Because that's where we're going. So you have private practice physicians in your life. Take this video, go share it with them. Take the link to the book, the first chapter, share it with them and tell them, hey, check this out. Okay, because we're going to have to look after each other to pull this off. All right. So I'm so excited. I cannot wait for the book launch tomorrow. Cannot wait for National Private Practice Physicians Day. So I was like, I did not know there was a day. I was like, there was not. We created it. Okay. Because we deserve it. There was not. Okay. And I will see you tomorrow back here. We're going to have a big launch party. I want you to be a part of it. And this is our time, and get ready for everything that's coming. Okay. All right. See you at the launch party.